Icons of Real Estate, Oregon. Are you ready to learn from the real life experiences and the proven money-making secrets of Oregon's top producers? If you're an ambitious real estate agent in Oregon ready to skyrocket your business, then this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Maureen Healy, licensed Oregon realtor. Tune in weekly where every guest will have a story to tell and tips to share to help you increase your own business. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO, and your all-inclusive real estate platform, Icons of Real Estate. Hello, welcome to the Oregon Icons of Real Estate podcast. My name is Maureen Healy, and I'm a realtor based in Portland, Oregon. And today I am excited to welcome my guest, Heather Robbins, who is the principal broker and owner of the Robbins Realty Group. How you doing, Heather?
I'm great. How are you, Maureen?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for making some time for this today.
Oh, my pleasure. It's just so good to be able to connect with you again. It's been a few years.
It is. We actually do know each other in real life, but haven't seen each other or spoken in a while. So this is a great way to reconnect. I'm happy that we can do this.
I know. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I'm always cheering you on from the sidelines when I see you on social media. I'm like, yes, keep doing great stuff. Great.
Thank you. It's something I've been working on. And we actually met, speaking of podcasts, through another podcast that you were on a couple of years ago with my old principal broker, Alicia.
Yes,
So
she's
here we are.
so wonderful.
Yes, I actually had the benefit to work with her on a couple of transactions this past year for a mutual client that we had when I was there before. So that was really nice. I got to see her a couple of times.
Oh, she's a joy. Like, she just emulates positivity and goodness. So, oh, that's so great that you two got to connect. I always enjoy running into Alicia.
Yes. And when I think of you, speaking of that, that's how I always have felt about you. You just radiate like a genuine kindness and positivity. So this is a real treat to get to speak to you today.
Oh, thank you. Well, the feeling is mutual. I was really looking forward to chatting with you and being on the podcast. So thank you for having me. I genuinely am grateful.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to start by rewinding a little bit into history. And I was just wondering, how long have you been in real estate and what did you do before, if any, if this hasn't been your only gig in life?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate a long time. So I graduated from BYU, or Brigham Young University, with a degree in marketing. And shortly after graduating, my mother, who was already in real estate, asked if I would join her in real estate. And so I took my marketing background and brought it to what she was already doing in real estate. And so we have been business partners for 23 years. And just recently, I have purchased her out of Robbins Realty Group. So we started Robbins Realty Group together, and she's still a broker at Robbins Realty Group. And also, I'm going at a pace that's probably faster than what she's wanting to do right now at her age. And so she is, oh gosh, our clients love mom. Like, they get really excited when they get to work with her. So she is still very much in real estate, but no longer an owner of the company that we created together.
I did not know that. I didn't realize that you were coming in from the family angle.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm so grateful. My mom was and is an incredible mentor to me in real estate. And, I don't know if I'd be in real estate if it weren't for her. I love it, but I had really thought of myself going into PR or marketing. And here we are, 2 decades later, and I love it. So I will be forever grateful for her example and mentorship and encouraging me to get my license.
That is so great. That's so nice. And then marketing obviously is a really important skill when you're in real estate. So your chosen path, it worked out well, even though you didn't intend on real estate necessarily.
Right. I feel so blessed and grateful that my passion for marketing and my passion for being with people and homes just like all came together really quite perfectly. So yeah, it's been super fun. I love marketing homes. I love being with people. I love being able to showcase their homes in our marketing. And so we have a passion for it at Robbins Realty Group. And yeah, I I'm amazed at the women I get to work with every day. We're an all women's company and all women company. And I really feel like I get to work with the most amazing humans every day at Robbins Realty Group.
How long has the brokerage been around?
I want to say 8 years, 7 or 8 years. So I was in real estate with my mom for quite some time. And then we decided we wanted to start our own brokerage, something where we had control over the core values, over the culture, over the way business was conducted. And that was something that was really important to both my mom and I. And so here we are many years later, and it's going well. Like, I feel like our culture emulates what we had in our hearts when we first started Robbins Realty Group.
And what would you say your core values are?
Yeah, to be givers, not takers, to lead with love, to oh gosh, I usually have them taped right here, but I've just recently switched my office, so this is where we'll just edit this piece out.
Sure. The
Let me
magic of editing is wonderful.
Oh, it's amazing. But let me pull them up because I literally have had them taped to my desk for years. And of course I like freeze when I'm asked for them. Okay, so it is do all things with integrity. Okay, where do we start? Like, okay, our core value.
How about I just ask the question again?
Perfect. Okay.
And we'll start from there. So what are the core values of Robbins Realty Group?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. So it's do all things with integrity, pursue excellence, be givers, not takers, and to lead with love. And in fact, everyone, I have this like little gold cuff that I wear. Everybody at Robbins Realty Group has a gold cuff. And inside of it, it says lead with love. There's this little like hidden message, and we take it pretty seriously. Like we really want our clients to know that like we love working with them and that we are going to give our very best to give them an exceptional experience.
I love that. And then you have this beautiful little reminder on at all times too. And that's a nice gift for your brokers as well.
I think so. I think they've enjoyed it. And we just had our winter retreat just recently at the beach, and everybody was wearing their lead with love cuffs. So that made me happy.
That's wonderful. And what would you say your superpower is when it comes to this business?
Gosh, my superpower. I feel like I am a solutions oriented person, that there's always solutions. So I can take a pretty challenging situation and come up with the best situation possible for my clients that's going to work best for all parties, and to do it in a kind, efficient, and direct manner. So I love a transaction that has a lot of like challenge to it, because I just like can figure out exactly how to get from A to B with everybody feeling like they felt like it was a reasonable and fair experience. Our clients are happy. The other side is happy. So that would be my superpower. Something that I'm passionate about in real estate is my hometown of West Linn. So that's my passion. I love selling homes in West Linn. Like, I just love it. It's my favorite thing to do. Introduce people to my hometown, introduce them to 97068. So my superpower, figuring out challenges. My passion is West Linn.
I see. And how long have you lived in West Linn?
Well, my family moved here when I was 14.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, so I've been here a while. I was gone for a few years doing college and an internship in DC, but otherwise I've lived in West Linn a long time, raised my family here. So my husband and I have 4 children, and they've all gone through the West Linn School District, West Linn Wilsonville School District. And yeah, I love it here.
So you become quite the master of dominating your hyper local market.
Yes.
Well,
thank you.
Can you give us some tricks of the trade for that?
Yeah, so I've spoken quite a bit just recently about dominating your market. So for those real estate brokers that are listening, we sell the most homes in West Linn at Robbins Realty Group, and by quite a bit. So it's something that we were very strategic about. So when someone is looking to like build a farm or a geographic region that they want to work within, in real estate, we call it farming. You have to have a passion, right? So the first thing is having a passion. I really recommend loving where you work, right? So I love my hometown of 97068 or West Linn, Oregon. And so that is like years ago, during the recession, things were really challenging for our family. And I realized, okay, I'm raising 4 children and I'm trying to do real estate, and real estate was slow at the time. So I just basically drew a boundary of like, this is where I'm going to work because I can save on gas. I also want to be close to my children. So I need my commute short. And I just loved my hometown. Like I have such a passion for this community. So one, being strategic or having a passion, two, having a strategy. So I created a strategy of like, this is where I'm going to work. Now, of course, we work all over Portland Metro, and the brokers at Robbins Realty Group will work all over, but I really try to hyper focus on like 97068. And then from there, so you have a passion for it, you create the strategy, and then you also need systems. So as
Absolutely.
you start building and really like focusing that marketing, and I believe in saturating, and you start small, right? You start like with one listing and you just saturate the marketing and really build that. One, you're serving your clients so well when you're doing everything you can to market that property. But two, it's also showing people, you know, the market in that area. And then pretty soon you get more and more listings as you're doing a good job and marketing and saturating that area and serving the people. Really, it's serving the people in that area. So having the systems to support the business as it grows is huge. I'm sure you and I have both experienced working with someone who has a lot of business and they're disorganized and they're running with their head cut off. And it's just like, oh my gosh, come on.
Can make for a difficult transaction. That's
It
for sure.
really,
Yes.
yes, it can. And so having the systems in place to support the growth of your business as you continue building within that geographic region is crucial. So the three things: passion, strategy, and systems.
That's great. That's a great way to sum it up. And I know like growing up in that area and then coming back to it as an adult, you kind of already had a built-in network there or a sphere that you could market to. And I think it's really smart to consider the commute factor and being close to kids. I have young kids as well. Well, they're not super young anymore, but they're still in school. And I like to be close as well. And one of the things that I decided this year is I am going to just refer out any West Side business and I'm going to stay here on the East Side because of that very reason. You know, it's like it helps to know the market and you can do a lot more in a small radius.
Oh,
You know, when you're
absolutely.
driving an hour each way or an hour and a half, it takes up almost the whole day just to do one thing.
It does with traffic, right? It can
Mhm.
really the travel time can be such a challenge with the schedule, right? So
Absolutely.
being strategic, like I love how you're like, okay, I'm just going to focus on East Side and refer out West Side, right? Like you're already creating that boundary of like where you want to dwell, where you want to market. And that I think it's just a strategy that serves you well. I find like a jack of all trades is a master of none. And
Mhm.
so someone who's like, oh, I work everywhere. It's like, but do you?
Right.
Like, do you
And but how
really?
well do you? Right.
Exactly. Like certainly both you and I could work Hillsborough and Gresham and Troutdale, and like that is a day of commuting back and forth. Whereas I would rather say, you know what, this is the area that I love working. I have a passion for. And when you have a passion for something, people feel that energy and excitement. And it's contagious. So I love working 97068. So it just is exciting. It keeps my commute short. And it
Mhm.
really allows me to know the market better than any human being on earth. Like I feel very comfortable in saying, I know West Linn market better than anyone because
Mhm.
I am in the trenches of West Linn real estate all day, every day.
I think too, the other thing that is good to note about staying so focused in a one area is respecting your own time and protecting your
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Again,
Oh,
you know, in the car all day commuting 40, you know, and all of this, it really limits how much you can do in a day. Whereas if you've got, say, 3 listings within a 10-minute radius or 15-minute radius, you can do much more in a concentrated area. I think that's really smart.
Absolutely. So then I can be behind my laptop working and like really pouring into the client how I'm going to come up with that strategy as opposed to driving all day and not being able to give them my full focus.
Right. And having phone calls in the car when you can't write anything down. And I've been there, done that. And it's not my favorite. And it's just not, I feel like it's not the highest level of service either to them, to the client.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I like to have focused time where I'm just in front of my computer working, being able to process exactly what's being said on a phone call and giving them information right away of like, hey, let's jump on a Zoom. I've got all the data right in front of me. Let's talk about this. Or, hey, I can come by. I love being able to just drop by my listings and be able to be like, oh, here, oh, you ran out of flyers. I already have some. Here's some extra booties. Oh, somebody needs a contractor. I can do that for you. Right. And to be able to give that like high level service and really pour into the clients and be available at any time for them, you can do when it's within a geographic region that's easy on the commute.
It makes so much sense to do it that way. And then you've got your team of brokers that do service the other areas. Like you said, how many brokers are with your company now?
I believe we have 9. Yeah, I think we have 9. I haven't. Yes. One just recently moved, so we have 9. Yeah.
Okay. So you have enough, it's not a huge, like 200 people, but you've got enough coverage of all the different areas in our, what I would consider our local market or, 4 biggest counties
Yes.
surrounding us.
Yeah. So I believe in a lean and strong team. So like just we've had a bigger team in the past and I didn't feel like that was the right fit. So we're very careful on who we bring on to Robbins Realty Group. There's about like a 3-step interview process. And it has served us well because who we have at Robbins Realty Group, I just absolutely love who they are as human beings and as brokers. And then we have an admin team's staff of amazing women that support the brokers in their efforts. And so it's really been a wonderful experience seeing the brokers grow, their business grow individually. And gosh, I've really enjoyed this season of training and mentoring, and then also being in production as well. So it's a happy little group here.
Nice, happy medium.
Yeah.
Both sides. So when you are interviewing a broker to potentially bring on, what types of things do you look for or what impresses you?
Oh, I love that question. So I believe in somebody being hungry, hardworking, and humble. So hungry in the fact that they are willing to work hard. They're willing to like do what it takes to build their business. They're excited about it and willing to work any lead that comes through the door, right? And then hardworking, like they've got a work ethic that they're not waiting. They're going out, they're being proactive, and humble. Like I just could, if I could wave a magic wand and say, can we all check egos at the door? Like that's what I would do. Sometimes in our industry, I feel like people get a little bit too big for their britches. And so that humility, and oftentimes with humility comes gratitude. So hungry, hardworking,
And humble.
humble. Thank you. And just grateful. Like, I think a grateful heart goes a long ways, and people can appreciate and understand when you are truly grateful to be able to work with them, to be able to serve them. I think that goes a long ways.
I think so too. And I think it's so interesting because even from maybe calling another agent, calling on their listing, or being in a transaction with them on the other side, you can almost tell by the way they answer the phone what their demeanor is. And it's wonderful to be confident and very experienced, but then there is sometimes that crossing of the line where the ego is bigger than the room.
Yes.
And I personally feel like that makes it really difficult to have good communication, and open, honest, transparent dialogues. It just brings this layer in of like, oh, okay, I understand what I'm dealing with here. And
Yes, it's like we're all trying to do our best to represent our clients. Let's just check the ego at the door and just have great, open, honest communication. That's going to get the job done. You're totally right. When the ego comes in, there's this layer, there's an element there where you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to work around this
Hmm.
entire transaction.
Right. And you get that, you can tell right away. So, I mean, I guess on the good side, you know what you're dealing with, but it's definitely, it just adds a different feeling to the whole thing and every interaction. And then when you don't have that, it just seems to flow a lot better, but it's good. I look at it as a challenge to me to understand personality types and, the same thing with clients.
Yeah.
It's just understanding the personality that you're dealing with and how best to deal with it, because in life, no matter what we're doing, we're going to run into these different personality types, and
Absolutely.
might as
Yeah.
well get a handle on that on the front end.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Yeah, that's so true. One of my favorite people to work with is Terry Sprague, and
Oh
he's
yeah,
as humble and kind as can be. And he is a phenomenal broker, like just a master of his craft. And yet he answers his phone. He always answers it kind. He loves to surprise and delight. Those are his words. That's his motto. It's just a joy to work with. And so, on the opposite side, when you get on the other end of a transaction with someone who is just phenomenal, it is a joy. It's just
it
like, oh,
is.
breath of fresh air.
It is. And actually, that's funny that you bring his name up, because he represented a buyer on one of my listings a couple of years ago in Lake Oswego.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I do have that experience working with him in that. And he's exactly like you described. It was a joyful experience.
Yeah. He is a great example in our industry. I really think so highly of him. And you can be incredibly successful at your craft and be kind and humble and hardworking.
Absolutely. And I think that it leaves people, the impression that you leave people with, hopefully you want it to be a positive one.
Yes.
People tend to remember the extremes, right? Either really great or really not so great. And personally, for me, I always want to be remembered as the agent that was great to work with.
Yes. Oh, of course. I have no doubt about that is the legacy that you're building and creating. That's just who you are.
Thank you. And you're that way as well. It comes across in everything that you do.
Oh, thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So what would you say is going well for you? And what are your big, hairy, audacious goals for 2023? We're just in February. We're still at pretty much the beginning of this year. What do you
Yes.
want to accomplish this year?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say more real estate in West Linn, right? Like I would love to be selling more homes in West Linn. I also have a huge goal of just giving back to the community, finding ways to be of service and help in the community. We love doing coat drives and shoe drives and helping the children of West Linn. There's a charity that we work with, Northwest Children's Outreach. And I would love to be able to find ways to give more to the foster children at Northwest Children's Outreach. I would love to be able to mentor and give more to the brokers at Robbins Realty Group. The things I'm loving is the women I get to work with every day. Like it is really, truly inspiring when everything's firing on all cylinders. And I just feel like we're in such a good spot at Robbins Realty Group with everyone. So I'm just excited every day to wake up and do what I do, which is sell real estate in West Linn and surrounding areas and work with the most incredible women. So that, I mean, games that match like that.
More
I
of what
love
you've
doing
got
that.
going on.
More of what we're doing. Absolutely. And then truly just giving back to the community, finding ways to help make it a better place.
That is wonderful. That's an organization that I have not heard of before. What
Oh,
exactly do they do?
yeah. So it's a volunteer run organization and they help provide shoes, toys, clothing to foster children. So when you think of a foster child, when they're taken out of their home and being sent to a foster home, they usually have a black bag of like a plastic bag of some of their clothes. So at Northwest Children's Outreach, when they're being placed, the social worker will bring with a bag full of new clothes, shoes, a coat, toys, depending on what time of year. Is it a coat or is it summer clothes, right?
Mhm.
But it helps them have something to call their own when they're being placed in a new environment. And as a mother of four, like, my heart just goes out to children, and that's a traumatic experience to begin with, leaving your home and being placed in a new home.
Absolutely.
And so if there's anything I can do to help foster children, I have a passion for it. I want to be able to. And luckily, everyone is mothers at Robbins Realty Group. And so they also support me in that passion of giving back. And so we have coat drives and shoe drives and try to just find ways to help the children.
That's wonderful. I think it's really important to include some sort of philanthropy in our business, because we have, we create our own schedules. We have flexible timing for the most part. We can definitely fit it into our day, and everybody has their specific things that they're drawn to. And to just set a portion of our time aside to help out, I think is really admirable. Not everybody will do that.
Yeah, well, many hands make light work, right? So
Yes.
the more that can give and support, the easier it is to accomplish that goal. So yeah, it's been really so rewarding and gratifying to be associated with them.
That's wonderful. You mentioned a little bit about training and mentoring your brokers. Do you have any sort of formal mentorship program or training, or how do you handle that within your you don't have an office, but with your realtors?
Yeah. So we meet virtually. So Robbins Realty Group is the virtual brokerage. We don't have a brick and mortar, but we do meet in my home for staff meeting every other month. And then we also meet, well, I should say every 2 weeks we have a staff meeting. Once a month it's in my home, once a month it's on Zoom. So we do we like to talk about real-time scenario transactions of like what's happening and what can we learn from. So we use anything that's come up in a transaction as a case study, and we talk about that during staff meeting. But then I do also have, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily formal training. It's just what I see coming up in transactions that might need to be addressed, or if I see that there's something that one of the brokers is struggling with, that we could all mastermind behind and help. Or if somebody's really excelling at something, like, oh, hey, let's shine the light on what you're doing. That's wonderful. How can we all learn and implement that into our business? We're super organized. My operations manager, Stephanie Stewart, is phenomenal. And she is a professional organizer.
Oh,
So
really?
she's a phenomenal, like, really, truly, that is not my skill set. And I'm so grateful for her and her incredible intellect. I call her resident genius because she is a genius. So smart. So she's created the systems at Robbins Realty Group. And so we're often training on like what we're doing with those systems to enhance our company, to enhance nurturing our clients. We have a lot of like nurture systems in place for our databases, and just making sure that we are there supporting our clients. And we love that. We love doing that. So a staff meeting is often talking about systems, talking about processes, and then training.
Excellent. And for you personally, as you've developed over the years, have you done any sort of like third party coaching or mastermind or any of those things? They're plentiful now. It's I know there's a lot of different educators out there who do coaching, and I was just curious if that's anything that you have participated in at any point.
I have not had a coach up until last year, and then
Oh,
I got a coach last year, and he's wonderful. It's a closed coaching program, so I can't really
okay.
give out the name. And it's been really beneficial for me to have a coach. I've learned a lot from him, as well as I do a lot of reading and podcasts. Like, I have an insatiable appetite for education. So I am always like listening to podcasts, listening to books, reading books. So a lot of what I've learned is either from like my mentor, my mother,
Mhm.
or being out in the field and learning from it, or self-education. But yeah, just last year I got a coach, and it's been incredibly helpful, just to learn a little bit more from someone else's perspective. At 23 years in and coaching and training others, like, I now really understand the reason why people have coaches. Like, it's been super helpful for me. But he's not necessarily a coach for like accountability or calls. I don't need that. Like, I got a fire in my belly. I don't need someone to asking me if I've made my calls or written my cards or anything like that. It's more like higher level business coaching, and how to build the business, how to be a better leader. Like, that's been helpful too.
I think that's an interesting point, because when you're the principal broker and the owner, people are looking up to you for leadership, but it's something that is, I think, always evolving. You can always learn more, do better, seek out different perspectives, because, there's an infinite number of ways to do things.
Yes.
And I'm this kind of the same way with the insatiable learning. I love to learn, because even though you've been doing something for years, there's always still room for growth. And if you are of the mindset that you made it and you don't need to do anything else, then
Yeah.
I think it can get kind of stale after a while.
Yes, I agree. And I don't want to feel stale. I'm one who, well, my mother is the woman who does not let grass grow under her feet, and I inherited that. And so, like, the idea of not growing, not learning, not trying just feels like death to me.
Mhm.
So, I have really enjoyed being in a season of growth and learning new things. And I think you get to a point in your career where you're like, okay, I've done so much in real estate, and how can I push myself more? What can I do
Sure.
more? So
There's always something new to be learned.
yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is kind of the thorn in your side in your day-to-day work, if anything? Is there anything that you would like to offload or change your system for,
Yeah.
or something, one of the tasks that you just don't love?
So yeah, let's see here. It would be cooking. That has
Me too.
nothing to do with real estate. I
I'm right
am
there with
not a
you.
Martha Stewart. If I could just like focus on a business and the transactions and pouring into my clients, and then in the off hours being with my family and just loving on them and not having to worry about cooking or cleaning. Yes, sign me up. We've spent many years creating the team and creating the processes to help me not be bogged down in the things I don't like to do. And that has been so liberating. I think that you probably can appreciate this, like living in a constant state of interruption with emails and phone calls and text messages and this coming up and that coming up. And with the amount of production we do, that can happen quite easily. I feel like my operations manager, Stephanie, has done an amazing job of being really strategic in designing the systems around what I love doing and what I don't love doing. And so I'm incredibly grateful that I'm in a place where I do a lot of what I love to do, and I'm able to offload some of those things that are not my passion. But offloading cooking for my family, I have not been able to figure out yet.
Me either. And I always joke and say, if I ever win the lottery, the first thing I'm going to do is hire out the cooking.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes.
Like, I don't even mind cleaning. I actually enjoy cleaning, but the cooking, I just can't get into it. It pains me every night. I'm like, man, these people are expecting dinner again.
I know. Didn't we just eat last night?
Uh-huh.
Why are we having dinner again?
Mhm. Like, didn't I just do this?
I know. Yes, I can appreciate that for sure. Yeah.
So what sorts of tasks have you been able to offload or change that you weren't so fond of in the business?
Yeah. Okay. So one of them is I have a listing specialist that helps me on the details of the home. So I will go and meet the client and procure the listing, and then Stephanie Napick, who is my listing specialist, she will come in and do all the details, the smoke alarm, the CO
Mm-hmm.
detectors, like, all of those things she handles, and which I'm so grateful for. And she's amazing at it. So that's one of the things that we've been able to offload, along with like uploading things into RMLS. My marketing team handles that along with the creation of the marketing. Um, I have been able to offload. And here's the thing, they do it so well, right? Like I have my skill sets and I just try to stay within my working, as Pat Leonetti would say, working genius. And then
Mm-hmm.
they are in their working geniuses doing so well at those tasks. So I also have outsourced our social media. Shelley Brown, my director of marketing, and Ashley Hollis, her assistant, Shelley's assistant. They're sisters. Oh
Oh,
my gosh,
nice.
I love them. They're amazing. They handle the social media, which is wonderful, and they do such a great job at it. And they have their finger on the pulse of the social media. So those are just a few samples of like what we've been able to do to lighten my load, so that I can really concentrate on training brokers and being in production and overseeing the company.
Well, I think it helps when everyone is doing what suits them, playing to their natural strengths. I mean, I think that it's good to do things that are not our strengths because it does help us grow and learn. But there are things that all of us just are naturally better at. And if you've got a whole team of people shining at what they're best at, that makes a complete picture, then makes life much easier.
Oh, absolutely. I look at Shelley and Ashley and what they do as creatives, and I'm blown away at what they do. And Nancy Clark, she does a lot of our content creation and writing and the blog posts, and like I'm amazed at what they do, and they are clearly in their lane as far as their working geniuses. And so it's incredibly rewarding to be able to rub shoulders with such amazing women that are so good at what they do, and I can just honor and respect and be in awe of them, and then go into my lane and do what I do best.
That's awesome. Do you have any goals for expanding your reach with brokers in, say, even farther out areas than you cover now? Or are you sort of content with the group that you have doing what you're doing? It sounds like, it's working.
Oh, it is working. I'm always looking for opportunity and ways to grow. We're very comfortable in working the Portland metro area, and we love Portland. And I would be open to, like, we had a satellite office in Southern Oregon.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and that was great. We have a broker who was in Portland who moved down there, and we said, yeah, let's create a satellite office down there. And that worked out wonderfully. She has now moved, and so we've closed that, but it helped me get a feel for, like, oh, absolutely, we could expand to the beach, we could expand to Bend, we could expand to Southern Oregon again. So I'm always open to opportunity.
It's kind of nice when you do have that, just so you can refer within if you need to.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank you so much for taking your time to do this today. And as we're wrapping up here, is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I'm always thinking about the new broker who's building their business. And if they're listening, just a reminder that this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon,
Sure
right?
is.
Like those who think that, like, oh, I've got my license and I'm just going to like sell a bunch of properties within the first 6 months. You may. And if so, I am on the sidelines cheering you on, so excited for you. And yet, to build a sustainable business, it's a long-term thing. It's a marathon. And so creating a passion for what you love doing, creating the strategy and the systems, like that's like, I mean, you think of like a triangle and you've got passion, strategy, and systems, like that's going to create a solid foundation to build a long-term business on. I'm always happy to chat with people if they're thinking of, like, how do I build a farm? How do I create a hyper local business? I'm happy to chat about it. It's a passion of mine. I'm super grateful to be able to have done that in West Linn. And it wasn't a sprint. It's been years and years of building that. And I'm super grateful that that we've been able to. And it's not a one person thing. This is
Sure.
a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. So.
Absolutely, it does. If anyone wanted to reach out and get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so they can find me at Robbins Realty Group on Instagram or Facebook, robbinsrealtygroup.com, 2 B's, 1 S. Everybody misspells my last name, and that's okay. I understand. My maiden name was Brown. That was so easy. Nobody ever misspelled Brown. But robbinsrealtygroup.com, that's our website, and they can see the team. And Heather at robbinsrealtygroup.com is my email.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It was so good to connect with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here on the podcast with you.
You're very welcome.